I love my job. I get to have a few minutes just to chat a little bit more with somebody that you guys see on stage all the time. I'm sharing a whole scene with a tent and a barbecue.
A half tent.
Yeah.
It's good.
A half tent. With Beth Croft, everybody. Yeah.
Hi.
How are you, Beth? How's your year
Really good.
been?
It's been brilliant. Yeah. It's been different. I'm now a Vicars Wife.
Wow.
So that's, you know, a novelty. Not that it's changed my life super significantly yet, but yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
Now, you and your husband just recently hosted a seminar on sex and relationships, I've been told. And the question that I've been given to ask you is, how do you prepare for something like that? How do you get ready to chat about that kind of stuff? Are you nervous? Is it something that you do all the time?
No, we definitely don't do it all the time, but I think, to be honest, I'm trying to think of when it was. I don't actually know, but we have done stuff like that before, for sure. Like at Soul Survivor festivals, we'll do Soul Sister, Soul Man, that kind of thing. Get, young people, girls and guys together to talk about just the nitty-gritty of sex and relationships, really. And I think it's so often something that's not talked about so much. It's not something we have to plan necessarily. Usually it's just like Q&A. But I just know that young people value honesty on that subject. I think there's so much, there's plenty of people that have beat around the bush, and I think it's important to kind of say it how it is, within reason, Still keeping your private life private, but
Yeah.
But no, I think I definitely appreciated that when I was a teenager growing up, so yeah.
Do you get all kinds of questions at events like that? Like, do you get people coming and saying like random stuff and what they've been taught or what they think is right, and you get to correct them, or what is that like? Yeah,
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I think we're doing a specific seminar this year on pornography and the reality of that in our culture today, and how rife it is really, and how normal it is just in our society, and how we live as Christians with that going on in the midst of that. But also, I had a guy come up to me, a young guy about 16, 17, after we'd talked about kind of self-worth and what girls find attractive in guys and that kind of thing. And one thing that I said, and I really meant it, was confidence. Just someone who's happy in their own skin. And it was really sweet, actually. He came up at the end and he was like, did you really mean what you said? Like, because I really like this girl, who's also at Soul Survivor at the moment, and like, I'm not the best at sport, and all the other guys seem to be good at this and I'm not. Do you think really confidence is the key? And I was like, yes, it's so true. So that was really sweet. So like simple stuff, but also like some really complex issues as well. So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, we all know you as Beth Croft, the worship leader, the singer-songwriter extraordinaire, and you've got this amazing ministry behind you. You get to go all around the world and do your thing. But 10 years ago, did you ever imagine that this would be your life right now?
I don't think I'd even really heard of Soul Survivor 10 years ago. Not that Soul Survivor is the be-all and end-all. I don't know, I always loved music, I loved worship, but to be honest, I didn't even know how to play worship songs at all. Like, I was kind of classically trained from the music side of things. But in terms of doing ministry, to be honest, from the age of about 16, that was something that I said, I never want to do it, which is weird. Be careful what you wish for. God has another plan, often. So yeah, I just, like, that wasn't, I was set on kind of having like a secular job and just doing my thing and being a Christian in the workplace. And then gradually, I think perhaps something that was obvious to other people I was kind of the last person to figure it out, if that makes sense. I felt like I was a good few paces behind God and his plans, but he's softened my heart to all those things, I think, and I really couldn't imagine doing anything else now. I love it, it's a privilege, and this is definitely the highlight.
Cool.
I say.
Beth, have you ever, in the history of doing this, or even now, right now, have you ever thought about just jacking it all in, just giving up? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is yes, what has got you through that?
The answer is yes. I guess I feel bad even saying that, because I absolutely love my job. And when I zoom out and think about, what I'm able to do and what God has, allowed me to do for this time in my life, I'm so massively grateful. But as with you know, lots of us, we often feel like giving up when the going gets tough. It's not like every day is full of sunshine and is amazing. You know, there are struggles all the time and challenges that we face. To be honest, that's what keeps it interesting, but it also does, you know, wear down on you sometimes. And I think for me, the whole concept of leading people, leading worship in one sense, like I love it. It frees me. I love worshipping my Saviour, and that stuff is all good. I think leading people, you know, I'm involved with leading the worship team back at my home church, and also, you know, just being in leadership in different ways. That's the stuff that I find like whenever I really put myself out there, I think you almost naturally leave yourself kind of susceptible to attack. And, you know, as soon as you put yourself out there and step out in the name of God and his kingdom, then naturally there's going to be some things that we find tough too. So yeah, for me, like I'm a real team person. I love to know that all the people that I'm working with are really on the same page, that we're all pressing towards the same goals. And so if that isn't there, then those are the moments when I'm suddenly waver and I'm like, oh, this feels really scary and really difficult because I feel like I'm on my own. And so in those moments, the thing that gets me through, to be honest, is just knowing, having that conviction that this is what God's called me to do, and that, you know, the call of God is irrevocable. He doesn't take it back, whether we're feeling it or not feeling it, whether we have done great or whether we've screwed up. But actually, you know, that whole thing of perseverance, you know, is so important to learn that. And I feel like I'm on a constant journey with that stuff. But like I said, at the moment, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I do love it for all its good days and bad days. It's a privilege.
And do you find that whole thing of community and having the team around, that they help to pull you through as well? Is it kind of like you help me, I help you? Totally.
I think that's what community at its best looks like, isn't it? Us all helping each other out. It's what we see a lot of in the book of Acts. You know, where there's a need, it's community that fills that need and that pulls people up when one is down, and equally there might come a time when you're down and someone will pull you up. And yeah, I totally agree. I think that's community at its best.
Absolutely. And there's always so much more going on within the team, like you said, and on stage that people don't see because it's all internal, and they just see it as like a worship session, or they see it as a great song, or I don't really like that song, or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on, and you know when you've really hit your mark as a worship leader. What advice would you have for people, maybe young people who are really wanting to do more worship-wise and maybe be part of a team at church, or even they've been asked to lead a team at church? What's the best advice that you can offer those guys?
I think something that we've been saying a lot this year off the back of a lot of questions that we got asked about worship is just be yourself. Be happy to work with what you've got. Be happy with where you're at, and you know, whether you lead a band that's got a flute, a trumpet and an organ in it.
It happens.
Like it does happen, it genuinely does, and I think we're wrong to assume, you know, we had our first Young Worship Leaders one-day conference back in April, which was so exciting to see that there's a need, you know, lots of young people involved in worship. And this was something that cropped up time and time again. You know, I had to check myself because there was plenty of times where I kind of just assumed that everyone has a drummer, a bassist, a this, that and the other. And actually, yeah, just that encouragement again to embrace where God has called us and the context that we're in and the people that he's put around us as well, and not to see that as what we're missing or what we're lacking, but actually to see that God could do something really really special and unique and fresh through whatever we have around, like whatever we have in our hands effectively. So yeah, just being yourself really. And just, again, that whole thing of worshipping behind closed doors, you know, before you step on a stage, it's just so important to cultivate that relationship with God in your personal life before making it public, I suppose. Yeah.
Awesome. Great advice. And then the other thing that we're asking all the people we interview is just to tell us your best example or illustration or picture that you've had of God's love.
I think the thing that gets me every time is the story of the prodigal son. I just love that in that story there's a way back, a clear way back for us, wherever we've been, whatever we're leaving behind. As soon as we choose to do that 180, that God runs out to meet us. He's not, I just love that he's not a God that plays hard to get. And if we've kind of, you know, screwed up in our relationship with him and kind of turned our back on him, he doesn't kind of, you know, he doesn't play it cool with us. He's there with open arms. I just think that picture, and I've seen pieces of art, one by Charlie Mackesy called The Prodigal Son, which is just stunning. Just this kind of limp guy being embraced by this strong father. Just almost a guy at the end of himself, you know, and I often feel like that. I think we all do. You know, we've come to know Jesus. Even if we've come to know Jesus, we always have those times where we need almost like a homecoming again, just coming back to God after we feel like we've kind of veered off the path a little bit to the left or to the right, and just that, yeah, Jesus is there with open arms to embrace us. I think that's an amazing picture of true love. So yeah.